indications for the thumb tape job are our thumb hyperextension or hyperabduction. So whatever sport they're doing, their thumb has been forced into hyperextension or hyperabduction. In the process, they've likely sprained their ulnar collateral ligament of the thumb. So we're going to be trying to restrict the thumb into about 50% of its extension and abduction movement. Our anchor strips, we don't need to be quite as far up the forearm as we were with the contact wrist, because we're not trying to support the wrist here, we're just trying to support the thumb. So usually a couple inches proximal from the wrist. And then we're going to use a wrist lock as an anchor strip for the thumb tape job. And we want the wrist lock going straight across the palm, which means we need to start it on the dorsal surface of the wrist or the back of the wrist. So we start on the dorsal surface, just like our contact wrist. We come up over the thumb side and angle up the back of the hand. We pinch the tape through the thumb web interspace, and then we come more straight across the palm. And the shape of the hand is going to direct the tape back down towards the wrist. We wrap around and finish on the same side we started, the dorsal surface of the wrist. The actual supporting strips for the thumb, we're going to start on the palmar side. We're going to wrap over and finish on the dorsal surface. And my initial strip here that I'm going to apply is just to cover the hand. It's actually not going to do much to support the thumb, but we're just trying to prevent any windows from being apparent later on. So my first strip, wrapping here, and I'm going to finish back on our wrist lock on the dorsal surface. And then now I just work my way distally on the thumb towards the interphalangeal joint, overlapping by half as we go. The angle of your supporting strips of the thumb are going to change as you get closer to the interphalangeal joint. So initially they're going to be angled like this, and then as we get closer, it's going to be oriented more vertically. So again, we're trying to get as close to the interphalangeal joint as possible. We'll do one more here. And then we need to secure those supporting strips for the thumb with one more wrist lock. So starting on the dorsal surface of the wrist like we did before, wrapping around, angling up the back of the hand, and now we're going to need to pinch the tape even more through the thumb web interspace. So you can't avoid there being wrinkling through here. You have to have it to pinch the tape. We just don't want the wrinkles to extend beyond the halfway point of the dorsal surface of the hand and beyond the halfway surface of the palmar surface of the hand. So we just try to get rid of the wrinkles as soon as possible. Shape of the hand directs the tape back down towards the wrist. We wrap around and we finish on the dorsal surface of the wrist. To close things off, we can just repeat our anchor strips that we did originally. Okay, so there's our thumb tape job. Again, we don't want the tape going beyond the metacarpophalangeal joint. You can see how our wrist lock angled up the back of the hand and went straight across the palm. Our supporting strip started on the palmar side and finished on the dorsal surface, and we tried to get as close to the interphalangeal joint of the thumb as possible, so they should feel some restriction going both into extension and going into abduction as well.